Hey guys, and welcome back to the Retro Room. I know it's been a while. Been trying to work out some, well, real life issues and some technical difficulties. But today, I'm not going to bore you with that story. We're going to take a look at this socket 4 motherboard. I'm not entirely sure who made this guy. It's running an SIS 85C 500 series chipset. Looks like it has 256K of cache. The processor there's that big old socket. The processor, it's really hard to tell which corner would line up here, except on this chip, if you can see the little added pin right there on the interior with a dot and the one square there. But on the socket, it's pretty hard to tell too, except right here in the corner there's that extra pin. And that's where this extra pin on the processor goes. So it'll go in the socket, you know, just like so. We'll swing that down. Socket 4 processors were the first Pentium processors, but many of them had a problem that's commonly known as the FDiv bug, which I don't have a lot of information at hand, but I will link something in the description of this video about that. It was replaced with socket 5 and later socket 7 CPUs for the Pentium processors that we all knew. This processor runs at 60 megahertz. The board only has one jumper. There's a Dallas real-time clock here that is for sure dead. But first thing we're going to do with this is make sure it works. Put a keyboard down here. This is a what's called a baby AT motherboard, though it's full, just about full length. There's a ROM socket that is not populated there. Wonder if this board needs a BIOS chip. But I'm not going to worry about that. The jumper settings on this board are really simple because it only has two speeds, 60 and 66 megahertz. Oh, let's give this little card a try. We'll connect the monitor. Then we'll see about seeing if you guys can see this. Okay, we have the black box there in the corner. Let's switch this on. getting no signs of life. But the jury's still out on this little video card, so let's put a postcard in there. Move things around so you guys can see a bit better what that card is doing. You can see it right down in here. We'll turn it on and see if we get any signs of life. He's all dashes. Let's see what happens without a video card. And I'm seeing here Sim 1 and Sim 2 are on the outside of the board instead of on the inside, which is unexpected, but not really a surprise. These are 8 meg sticks. We'll see is there a problem with this socket? No, it's in there. Just these things are old and not as spry as they used to be. Let's see. That is concerning. It's probably missing a BIOS chip here. Let me see if I can't find that. We'll try to get this thing working. All right. I looked this board up on the retro web, and this slot is for the BIOS chip, which I have made one right here. This chip itself is an Atmel AT29C010A or 010A. Makes it a 1 megabit electronically erasable PROM, or an EEPROM. And I have the BIOS, which was also on the retro web, flashed to this chip. Now let's see if we get signs of life. One more time with the power, and look there. That looks like progress. Let's move this around so we can we'll see if that little video card works. We'll plug this in to monitor it further. And if this works, it should come up on the screen. In your lower left-hand corner there. Changing a bit of a jumper setting there. There's a option between a flash BIOS and a PROM BIOS, which is not so easily rewritable. Well, if it's a PROM chip, it's a single rewritable chip. But the chip I used on this board is, it could even be software erasable. Still not getting any signs of life out of him, but progress has been made. Let me find another video card and we'll see what we can see if we can get this guy to boot further. Come to find out, I don't have too many PCI video cards, but this motherboard has several PCI slots on board. The video card that I found is, well, it runs an ATI Rage XL chip. This is saying it was manufactured in the year 2000. So that is a little newer than this motherboard. But this card should work. Or not at all. For some reason, the first BIOS chip that I flashed for this board just decided to die. So I wrote another one, again on an Atmel 29C010 1 megabit EEPROM, and I discovered that it wishes to have RAM in the furthest slots toward the interior of the board. First, I found a more period accurate PCI video card Now let's turn him on and see what happens. Looks like we have video, and it's trying to detect hard drives and floppies and that sort of thing. But that's okay. We first have signs of life out of this machine. You see it's reading Pentium CPU at 60 megahertz. And I have 8 megs of RAM on the board, which is just fine right now. When later I decide to build this into a system, I will put more RAM on this board. But let's see if we can get this machine at least booted to a DOS prompt or something. I shall return. When I build this system, I will use an actual floppy drive, much like this. It's like this drive, and probably a 5 1/4 inch drive as well. But for making sure this machine will boot, I will use my GoTech. This board is keyed for cables, so that went on there right. This colored band needs to go on the pin toward pin 1 on your drive and on your motherboard. The motherboard's already keyed, but on here you can see it says, well, pin 2 and pin 1 right there. Plugs in like so. This will need power. Then when we turn this on, it's already on DOS 622 boot image. Let's see if we can get it into the BIOS. Looks like a standard award BIOS. Giving it a drive A of 1.44 meg, 3.5 inch drive. I do like that right here, where you see the red box, it has divided the primary and secondary IDE channels instead of just having a block of 4. It does have IDE auto detection, which isn't a surprise. Later 486 boards even had that. And this board and processor isn't too terribly far removed from late stage 486s really. We'll save the BIOS or save our settings. Then we'll see if it boots just fine. Starting MS-DOS. Looks like we can get him working. All right, with that known, looks like this is going to be a pretty easy system. Knock on wood. Well, this will be an excellent chance to see what is on this compact flash card, because I have forgotten. Let's put this in the primary IDE. I believe it'll be that one right there. And it will need power as well. Let's turn him on and see if it auto detects that. Let's go to auto detection. I believe we'll do normal. And there's nothing in the secondary, on the secondary channel. Again, we'll save. Pop the USB thing out of the GoTech so that it doesn't try to boot from floppy. Apparently I have MS-DOS on there. That isn't a terribly big surprise. Let's see what's on there. Well, we have the DOS benchmark pack from Phil's Computer Lab on here. Let's see how this handles the max doom. Well, he seems doesn't seem too bad at all. In full screen mode, it's maybe a little stuttery here and there, but it's more than playable. I don't know about any of you, but I can almost hear the noises. But that just may be that they're just so ingrained in my brain. There's no way that there could be anything playing because there's no speakers hooked up. I have no sound card on the system yet. PC speaker isn't even hooked up. $21.34 game ticks and $27.50 real ticks. Whatever that means, but seemed that worked. Look at the PC player benchmark. Looks pretty crisp. going pretty fast, a little stuttery, but it's definitely in the high res mode. That's probably mostly the video card than it is the processor, but wait for it to go through so we can see. Yeah, it's in 640 by 480. That's what it says down on the bottom of the screen, 640 by 480, 8BPP. Player bench 6.3. Okay. Let's go back to the menu. Top bench has a top bench score of 193. Let's see how this guy does with a Quake time demo. Why not at the max settings? Apparently it doesn't want to do that. Well, we'll try the 360 by 8 by 480. Okay. It doesn't like the Quake demo. Try the 3D Bench 1.0C for faster PCs. .1. Of course, this system may be a bit newer than that benchmark is meant for. Well, let's get out of here. Let's connect some actual drives to it and see if we can't get an operating system installed.